Hi everybody, this is Jordan with Rayco Rents, and today I'm going to give a 5 to 10 minute walkthrough on how to use the SKC NoiseChek dosimeter with the DataTrac DB software. So first thing we're going to want to do is just get things hooked up properly, get your dosimeter placed onto the dock and connected to your PC with the included USB cable. And shortly after that, once you launch the software here, you should see the dosimeter show up. If it doesn't, you can hit this refresh button and then you should see it populate. So this is just the start of the software here. We need to just click on the dosimeter and then we'll see a bunch of stuff pop up here. So first thing to note, this is for our configuration of the dosimeter, how to set it up for your testing. So we can show up to 9 readings on the dosimeter while it's running, but 7 different variables can show on the device in the history. So that's what comes out in the data export. So we definitely want to make sure these are set correctly for yourself before you go out and test. There is an option to utilize octave bands on these as well. So typically for rental purposes, we leave these off. Most people aren't using these for octave band and they use up a lot of data, but it is an option. So if you are going to do those, make sure you not only display them, but log them and choose which octave band you want to go with. We can do either full octave or 1/3. We cannot do both. So just keep that in mind. We also have the option to change the logging from 1 second to 1 minute. And definitely make sure you got that box checked. We definitely want our data. You've got a peak weighting option. Typically that's going to be your flat Z weighting. And we have the secure lock and auto lock options. So this basically forces the user to enter a PIN before stopping the dosimeter. The secure lock is going to use it to connect to the mobile app. And that's a Bluetooth connectivity app. You can control the dosimeter and view the data on there. But again, for rental purposes, we keep these off. We don't want anybody to have to enter a password when they're testing. But if you do need that for your own purposes, you can program that PIN. Now, aside from everything I've already talked about, we have the nitty-gritty, just setting up your virtual dosimeters. And I think we all know our basics here. It's our OSHA hearing conservation, OSHA PEL, and ACGIH. This is how we would set it up for a rental. Now we also have IMSHA options to add, or you can fully customize one. You can choose the user custom option. You can name that whatever you'd like, customize all these variables as well. I know the threshold in this case, because of the specs on the dosimeter, the threshold can only be set to 70 decibels and not any lower than that. Let me rephrase, it can be changed, but it cannot be set to anything lower than 70. And that's because, again, the specs of the dosimeter. So I choose 70 there, that's all fine and dandy, but if I choose 65, for example, it's not going to let me do that. So another thing to just keep in mind for the dosimeters. Last part of the setup here, there is an option to actually record sound at a user-defined threshold. So if you are hearing some loud noises, you're not sure what they are, well, problem solved. We can get those recordings of anything over 90 decibels or 100 decibels, whatever it might be, and you'll get audio recordings in the data so that you can review and, maybe that was an anomalous sound or, maybe somebody screaming into the dosimeter for some reason. That can be useful data. And this is a really important one here, your projected time. Again, for rental purposes, we would configure that to your standard 8 hours, but that can be configured by the user as well. So once we finish everything here, very easy to save the setup to the device. We just click that button and you'll see this indicator that says the change has been completed. Now, if you have multiple dosimeters connected, you'll see there's two identical menu buttons here. And just click the one up top, and any changes that we're making, we can do that for all of them. Save the setup to all the dosimeters, clear the history, or set the date and time. Now, something to note about the date and time, it is customizable in terms of the format, but what it does is it uses your computer's date and time. And you need to make sure that your date and time is set properly before you launch the software. If you change the date and time afterwards, then the change doesn't actually get made properly on the dosimeter. So if you do need to make that change, just make sure that the date and time is already set up properly before you open the software. So now on to the next step, which is the history. So we'll navigate over to the history tab. This is how we actually download the data from the dosimeter. And here you'll see this is just everything that I have in the software right now. And nothing's showing up for this device yet. Well, if we want to download the data, we just need to click on download history. And there we go. I think I actually already had this data file on here, which could be why that moved very fast, but it tends to be pretty quick anyway. And if we want to view the data, all we need to do is select it from the list. And you can sort by serial number here, sort by date, sort by the start time. So there's a lot of ways to sort the data and find what you need if you have a long list here. So once we pick the data, it's going to populate here in our summary tab. And there's some nice customizations. You can edit the information and add your title, the company, whoever was wearing the dosimeter, whatever their name was. You can click that little edit info button here and add it in. So we do get the option at the end as well to do that. So I'll show you that in a second. We get the nice calibration data, basic start and stop runtime. You do have the option to add some notes here as well if you'd like. You never know what could have happened, but maybe John went for lunch at 11 o'clock and didn't turn his dosimeter off. So that's something you can add to the report. Now, if you go to the logs section, this is going to show us the graph of the data. And there's a legend right here that tells you what each line corresponds to. Here's our peak data all the way up top. And then we've got our L averages for OSHA HC, PEL, and ACGIH. Now, if we want to customize this, we can hit the little arrow just underneath the, I call it the magnifying glass. And we can pick what we actually want to include on the graph. So if we want to add or remove variables, we can do that. And we just need to make sure we hit that button again. That's going to refresh the graph with our changes. And here you can see those additional lines in the chart. So very easy to customize your data reports here. Now, from the logs section, you have the option to save a CSV. That's going to be an Excel file of the data. Typically, what we'll do is just do the summary report. And that's going to be either a PDF or a Word document. So if we hit that Create Report button, again, this menu comes up earlier, or that I mentioned earlier, where you can add some of those customizations, like the title, the company, the location. You can add a logo to it as well, which is nice. If you want to add a logo to your reports for your company, there is an option to either include or not include that graph. So you can choose that however you'd like. Once you hit the check mark, that's going to bring up your report. So I do have a summary report here that I had already processed. As you can see, it's a very nice format. We get confirmation of the settings that we used, which I really like. It just confirms that we know all our settings were correct. Again, you get your basic calibration, start and stop time, basic data on the run, and we get our nice chart here. There is an accelerometer in the dosimeter, so you can see this bottom line here. It's either green or red. Not a lot of red on this one, but that indicates whether the person was moving or if they were stationary during the testing. So that can be useful data. And then we have our TWAs, all the summary data for all the different variables that we're looking for. So for our 3 virtual dosimeters. So you get your nice summary report. Again, you can add in customizations if you'd like, but this is the gist of what it's going to look like. And that is everything I have to show you today for kind of the basics of just how to set up and download the data from your SKC NoiseChek dosimeter. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call at 866-736-8347, or you can email us at rentsconfirmation@raycorents.com.